Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Non Sequitur Nerds. Tonight, we're going to need you to search for your rings and watch out for Bowser because we're talking video game movies. As always, I am Tim, joined by Ian. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, you know what? Can't complain. It's been a long few weeks. I think you and I
Yes, it
have been
has. Yes,
busy
it
pretty much
has.
every weekend the last like 2, 3 weekends or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been
Let's see. Since you and I actually recorded last, we've each had birthdays. Actually, um,
yes,
we each have gone to weddings. Yeah, and then just tons of other stuff for each of us separately, separate weddings, of course. But yeah,
yes,
we've both had just a lot going on lately. It's getting to be that time of year where everything is going to be busy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gotta love this time of year.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah, which
Not that I have anything wrong with Christmas or the holidays or anything like that. They're usually a fun times. Just I
hectic.
just wind up being a chauffeur.
Well, I saw something on Facebook not too long ago that said something along the lines of, "We will not stop our war on Christmas until Christmas stops its illegal occupation of Halloween." I'm like, you know what? I feel that. I feel that. Years of retail, I feel that. Um, like literally
I just feel it for the fact that Halloween's the best holiday of the year. So,
it really is.
get your damn Christmas out of my Halloween.
Well, I mean, heck, like right before Halloween, I had stopped into the local dollar store to pick up a few, and they were already. This is before Halloween. They were already like taking all the Halloween stuff off the seasonal aisle for it and putting up Christmas stuff before Halloween even started. Like this was
Oh
like
yeah,
3 4 days beforehand. I'm like,
oh yeah. I
really?
mean, Costco started selling Halloween costumes back in August. I'm
Well,
pretty
yeah,
sure they
I
started
believe
putting
it.
up their Christmas stuff back in September.
I would
Like,
believe it.
I went to the local Target. Yeah,
Target.
Target. Sorry, yeah, I live in kind of a bougie area. There's a
Yeah.
lot of rich people just down the road from me. I'm not rich, trust me. There's a live in kind of a bougie area out there, but yeah, I went to Target and they were completely wiped out of Halloween stuff, and they were already putting up their Christmas stuff, and it was the week of Halloween, like it wasn't even after the holiday.
Well, I noticed
But
we went into a Spirit Halloween to pick up a few like last minute things for the kids' costumes, and like I don't know if it was just the one that I went to or if all of them were like that, but they barely had anything, and I don't mean barely had anything as in the sense of everything was sold out. Like the shelves, like everything was full. They just didn't really have stuff. Like their decoration section was literally like one little end cap. Like they didn't have like all their big stuff or anything really that cool. And then like the costumes they had, a lot of them were ones that were probably from last year that didn't sell, and
mm,
like they didn't really have anything. I mean, luckily, my son went as a Ghostbuster this, and he already has one of the replica proton packs that I bought from there like 2 years ago. He plays with it all the time. But we're like, yeah, his jumpsuits that he had from that, 'cause he was a Ghostbuster a couple years ago. Like, it's getting a little snug on him. Luckily, that still fit because we couldn't find a costume for him. Well, he might have to change his mind, but luckily it fit. But it was
yeah.
fun. It was fun. Yeah.
But anyway, so getting back to the matter at hand, we're talking video game movies today. And we've
Yes.
hinted and mentioned and referenced these gems of cinema and celluloid multiple times in our previous shows and probably again in future shows. But we
Probably.
figured today we're going to actually dedicate some time towards some of the worst and best, mostly worst, uh, of video game cinema. And video game movies have been going around for a while since really video games kind of the advent of video games back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, obviously, if we want to take a look at some of the worst out there, probably the most well known of the worst of them is definitely I think it was 1993
Right around there.
Super Mario Brothers movie
Yeah.
starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, uh,
Dennis Hopper.
Her- Dennis Hopper. There we go.
Yep.
Uh, you know, Dennis Hopper, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, has famously been quoted as saying he was having a conversation with his son years after that movie, and his kid asked him, like, "Dad, why did you agree to do this movie?" And he looked at his son and said, kid, you needed new shoes.
Yep, I would believe
So
it. I mean, Bob Hoskins wasn't by any means, an unknown name, but like, how did they get roped into that? I mean, that had to have been like the studio super hyping it up, or maybe they just weren't familiar with the source material and like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Video games are cool, I guess. But like,
well, my understanding was that the mythos behind that movie is that the
hmm,
two directors, who I believe were a couple,
okay.
originally wanted to do like some kind of sci-fi fantasy epic
Actually,
like space
I think
movie,
you've mentioned that before, actually.
and but they couldn't get a script greenlit or anything like that. So the studio hired them to direct the Super Mario Brothers movie, and then they slowly over time rewrote the script to basically try to still be their sci-fi fantasy epic.
Right.
So I mean, it was Mario in name only, and that
Yeah.
was literally it, other than a few minor
Right.
um,
References and
you know
whatnot.
references.
Now,
Yeah.
do you think that, like, had it not been called Super Mario Brothers, had it just been like take out all the Mario references, do you think that movie would have been okay then? I mean, do you think it's bad just because everybody was expecting a Mario movie and that's what we got?
I don't know. I
I mean,
mean,
it's
as a
it's, it's
kid.
definitely like a B movie, like shown at 2 a.m. on Sci-Fi. If it
Oh
wasn't a
sure.
Mario movie, so I mean, it's
Oh
not
sure. It's
Academy
definitely.
Award winning by any stretch, even without the
I
Mario
know it.
stuff.
It's definitely one of those movies that would be ripe to show up on, like Mystery Science Theater or Riff Tracks or something.
I could see that
Um,
doing pretty well there, actually.
yeah, yeah, no. I mean, had it not had the Mario name on it,
Mhm.
they could have just called it Plumbers from Another World or something.
That's
Maybe
that's
that's what
pretty.
maybe that's what they call it, the Isekai Plumbers. Um,
All right, somebody needs to get on that and make isekai plumbers a thing now.
hey, you know what? We have this recorded, so this is precedence
There we
for
go.
trademark. We own that now. Isekai Plumbers. Anyway,
We will soon.
ah, yeah, it's a. I mean, it's admittedly it's a bad movie,
Yeah,
no matter how you shake it. I
yeah,
think, as you said, the disappointment was just a real smack in the face.
yeah.
When you're a fan of it,
I mean,
of
for
the
sure.
source material.
Well, I mean, even like
So,
the Mario Brothers like Saturday morning cartoon, like even that took some liberties. I mean, granted, at that point there wasn't really any like super hardcore lore of Mario, but I mean, even that took some liberties, but not nearly to the extent that the movie did. I mean,
hey, you Luigi.
yeah, like yeah, the live action part was always one of my favorite parts, just to see like real Mario and Luigi, the actual real Mario and Luigi doing just whatever they were doing that day. I mean, that was pretty cool. I mean, as a kid, that was always really cool. And the cartoon is fun. So, but I mean,
Yeah.
if we're gonna switch gears to like another iconic one that's the opposite, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which I know unfortunately you haven't seen yet, but you at least know enough about. Like that one, it's good. It's a legitimately good movie, and I mean, kudos to the studio. When they put out that first trailer, do you remember the Nightmare Fuel Sonic that was the original design? Do you remember that thing? Kudos to the studio for actually going, you know what? We'll change it. And like the Sonic they put on the screen is actually a good representation of Sonic. I was not unimpressed with it. I mean, the CG for him was good, the look was good. I mean, the altered origin story for Robotnik I thought was really good. Jim Carrey's portrayal as the Eggman himself, or Little Eggman. Sorry, I had to bring him on screen. Um, I thought Jim Carrey did a phenomenal job as Eggman. I'm really excited for the second movie. Um, Idris Elba as Knuckles. Not a casting I ever thought I would have heard in my lifetime, but
It's
It's Idris
interesting,
Elba. I mean, he's the dude has range. I mean, he's good at
right?
what he does.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's got a very, kind of deep, gruff voice, and that's pretty much how they've always portrayed Knuckles. Anytime he's had some kind of voice acting
Right.
component to him. He's always had that gruff. deeper tone and
Mhm.
the takes no crap from no one attitude. So I think
Right?
it works out well
Yeah,
for that character. And yeah, no, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was very successful. It made $320 million,
not
almost
bad.
321 million at the box office. 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I mean, it's one of the higher rated ones out there.
Yeah,
So
especially as
you
far as
know,
video game movies go.
oh, sure, sure, sure. And like you said, the studio, I think part of it as well was that, everyone was impressed by the fact that the studio said, "Yeah, we oops, thank God."
We
It was
made an
probably
oopsie.
actually good that they debuted what he looked like beforehand with enough
Yeah.
time, cuz
Otherwise,
that thing was
like
nightmare fuel. It
they
was
they
it was
tried to make
Sanic.
Sonic in a realistic style. For anybody that hasn't seen it, go Google it. They tried to make Sonic as if it was a real anthropomorphic hedgehog alien creature thing,
Except it
and
still
it
looked
just
like a buff midget.
yeah. Well, I mean, like you remember like his legs in those first couple teaser screenshots they put out. Like he
Yeah.
was too muscular for that body frame, and it was very everything, the face, the musculature, everything was very concerning. Um, I
Yeah.
I was not impressed with what they put out, but like I said, the final version of him um looked really good. I mean, and they nailed kind of that feeling of Sonic. Um, it kind of harkened back to like these Sonic Adventure games where it was Sonic in a world with humans. So I
Mhm.
mean, it gave me a bit of nostalgia for that. Sonic Adventure is one of my all-time favorite Sonic games. So it was kind of nice to see that again, but in live action. And again, I'm for sure looking forward to the second one, which I think is like what summer next year. I think.
April 8th, according
Really?
to the
Ooh.
interwebs.
All right.
Um,
All right. Well, I mean, like
yeah.
every other studio is pushing their movies back or have pushed their movies back already. So summer, I'm gonna call it.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean that was a good one. Let's take a jaunt down the back roads of despair and
All right,
pick another one from our past. Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
dude.
Not the
That
first
is a
one.
train wreck from start to finish.
It really is. Like not the first one, mind
Yeah,
you. The first Mortal Kombat movie
it was
from
it was all
was
right.
decent.
Yeah, it
Like
was
it
all right.
wasn't the best thing ever, but and in actuality, that was released in '94. It's got a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, so
Okay, okay.
it's actually got a higher Metacritic score than Sonic. Sonic only has a
Really?
47, and Mortal Kombat has a 60.
Wow. Okay, okay.
But I mean, they're flip flopped when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes, obviously, because
Right.
like I said, they've got a 46. But anyway, yeah. So that one, Annihilation was just, oh, it's just so
It's
bad.
just like the best part of that movie, and I've said this before. The best part of that movie was the end credits. Like I can't think of, and I watched it a couple months ago. I mean, 3 months ago, just for giggles. I can't think
Were
of.
you giggling at all
No,
during it?
I was crying mostly in the fetal position. But like
Yeah.
I can't honestly think of anything that was good about it. I mean,
I mean, I just can't think of really anything about it other than I
it was a thing that
think
existed.
doesn't Liu Kang do his animality in it?
I think so, but I mean like he talked to oh the Native American character. I can never remember his Nighthawk, Night
Yeah,
Tomahawk
something like
Man.
that.
I don't remember his name. I don't play Mortal Kombat that often. Like and he like briefly explained it and then Liu Kang suddenly mastered it at the very end of the movie.
Oh, so he's Goku.
I mean, pretty much. He stole somebody else's ability and used it.
Yeah.
he was
Yeah.
Liu Kang is Goku confirmed.
Solar flare.
I mean, like all of Goku's techniques are stolen. Like I don't like, with the exception of turning Super Saiyan. I don't think any of his because like the Kamehameha, Master Roshi, Solar Flare, Tien, Destructo Disc,
Kaioken
Krillin, Kaioken. He learned from somebody else. He
from King Kai. He got the
yeah,
Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb both from King
King
Kai.
Kai, yeah,
He
um,
he has no original attacks. You're correct.
yeah.
Does he ever use the special beam cannon? I don't remember.
I don't think he does. I don't think he
I don't
does.
think he ever did. Which is weird because that would I feel like that's a move that he would just do
Well,
all the
well,
time.
it's I mean it's an instant kill attack effectively. So like it's Goku. He wants to fight the guys to get stronger and see how strong they are. If he kills them in one hit, then where's the fun in that? That'd be more something Vegeta would do. Which I know it's not a video game movie, but the Dragon Ball Evolution was horrible.
God.
It was so. I went and saw that
I
movie. I was
legit dude, like
yeah
I didn't pay any money to see that movie.
yeah
So I didn't feel too bad about it, but it was like on TV or something, and I
mhm,
got through the first 20 minutes, including commercials, and
yeah.
went, yeah, no.
I went and saw that in theaters, and it was the weekend after it opened, so it had already gone through one weekend. I was literally the only person in the theater. Like there was me and the projectionist. That was it.
Did the cashier say something along the lines of, "Here's your ticket, sir, and may God have mercy on your soul"?
I mean, like I remember when I went up, they're like, "All right, what movie are you here to see?" I'm like, "Oh, Dragon Ball Evolutions." Are you sure? Like, yeah, why? And like I had on my Dragon Ball shirt and the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, I want to see it. Okay. And they kind of gave me a weird look, and I'm like, all right. It was probably because if nobody showed up, they could have just gone home early that night, and I ruined it for them, and it's okay. My night was ruined too. That was just
Yeah,
not a good film at
yeah.
all. But anyway, so going back to video game movies, flipping gears from Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Mortal Kombat 20, the new one from 2021,
Yep.
something that you and I have both seen. I really liked it. I mean, it wasn't an Academy Award-winning film by any stretch. It didn't redefine the genre, but it was pretty good. Like my only complaint about it is they added in the new character Cole. Cole, I think his name was.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Which I mean, they pretty much like a lot of movies like this will put an everyman character in it. Somebody that effectively gives the audience's point of view as a character. They could have put him as a side character, but the movie like focuses around him, and like I thought that was pretty much I had the same complaint about this as I did with the Monster Hunter movie, which you and I touched on a while back actually.
Yeah.
Um, they didn't need that everyman character, especially like in a movie like Mortal Kombat. It's all about like the fighting and the action. They could have put any of the established Mortal Kombat characters as the main character, and the movie would have been fine. They didn't need random dude who happens to have abilities like they do. They
And
just
and he didn't even have really abilities like they do. Like he
yeah.
managed to gain them, but really his power was he can get the crap beaten out of him and be okay.
So he's kick ass.
Yeah, no, pretty much. Except he can actually feel pain.
He's magic kick ass.
Um, for me, my only complaint really with the Mortal Kombat movie was all of the like the media and the marketing and all that stuff. It really focused around Sub Zero and Scorpion.
Yeah.
But spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning. I'm giving folks a few seconds here to
Right.
pause or skip ahead or something. Um,
You're good.
all right. Well, statute of spoilers is passed. Scorpion really wasn't in it all that much. Like he was in it in the
Yeah.
beginning and he was in it at the end, and
Like
that was
like
it. And that was really disappointing because the way that they portrayed Scorpion
mm,
is relatively true to like his established
right
origin,
for sure.
and he was a really cool character. I
Yeah.
liked the way they
Yeah.
portrayed him. I liked his
Absolutely.
character design. They did a really good job with him, and they also did again. They kind of stuck to that established mythos that's been, building up for the last
However many years.
25 years,
Right. Something like that.
if not more. So I mean, yeah, maybe the original Mortal Kombat didn't have a lot of like meat behind it
Right.
that they
There
could
wasn't
really
really a
work off
super
of.
deep lore in that.
Yeah, but they at least had something. Like they
Yeah.
had something to go off of. But then they just kind of like, eh. Anyway. But yeah, no, the new Mortal Kombat movie is really enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next one because they're gonna make another
Oh
one.
yeah. I mean, it made money. So
Yeah,
But no,
It
yeah,
made money in the middle of a pandemic.
right. Now, like I'm wondering because that premiered on HBO Max, which is how I watched it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm wondering if if there wasn't a well, obviously if there wasn't a pandemic, a lot of movies that came out recently would have probably done a lot better. But I'm wondering how much better that film would have done had theater access been more readily available and safer at the time. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, but there are other movies on here that did have, theater access that,
right?
didn't necessarily do too well either. I mean, they made money, but at least some of them did
Because
anyway.
I think
Uh,
I think Sonic was the last film I saw in theaters before everything started shutting down.
mm,
Which I mean, at least I went out on a high note. But like Mortal
right.
Kombat, like that's one that I wished I could have seen that in theaters because I think like I mean because I would have loved to see that on a huge screen. So, but it was still
Yeah,
enjoyable as an at home viewing. So,
yeah, no, no, that was a good one. So, yeah, we're gonna take another leap across the chasm into the bale of hay here and go to the Assassin's Creed movie, Ubisoft.
yeah,
Michael Fassbender, I believe, was in it.
yes, he was the lead.
Yeah, made money, made $240 million
Hmm.
in the box office. Only an 18% on Rotten
See,
Tomatoes.
now I like that. I mean, maybe biased because I love the Assassin's Creed games, but like I thoroughly enjoyed that film. Like I mean, they did make a few changes to the mythos around it and whatnot, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, I thought the action was good, the cinematography was good. Fassbender is great in pretty much anything you throw. Like the one thing I thought was weird, like the Animus, which is the device that people effectively get plugged into to relive the genetic memory of their assassin ancestors and whatnot. In the games, it's like a table or a pod kind of looking thing that you like lay down on or sit in and get plugged into. In the movie, it's this like I don't even know how you describe it. It's this mobile thing where you can actually like move around and you're jumping while you're reliving
It's
these memories
it's
and
basically like a full body VR headset,
yeah,
like a full
yeah,
body VR experience.
kind
And,
of,
and
yeah.
in actuality, though,
I
I
mean,
think
it
that's
was
the
good for
right
action
way.
shots.
In actuality, though, I think that's the right way, though, that you would go about that technology, because like the whole thing with the Animus and like Desmond and whatnot is he's picking up some of this stuff, like he's gaining the skills of his ancestors and
Yeah,
things in the first three games, but it's all memory. His body isn't
right.
isn't trained to
He's
hang by his
effectively like
fingertips.
genetically getting muscle memory. Is
Yeah, but I
yeah,
mean, but he hasn't built that muscle. At least
right.
having like a physical, like an animus that forces the body to be physical in a way, at least has the potential to do some kind of muscle
Okay,
building.
that's true. That's true. And again, it made for really good action scenes. So
Yeah, no, and it wasn't. I didn't think it was a bad movie. It was just an underwhelming movie.
okay,
Like it was okay to me. Like
yeah,
I watched it. I think I actually watched it on a plane because this was back when I was traveling a whole lot.
yeah.
Um, I watched it on a plane and I was like, okay.
It was worth
I
the free
mean,
viewing for the plane ticket you paid for.
yeah, work paid for the plane ticket,
Oh,
so
well, there you go. It was a free movie provided by work.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know that there's really a whole lot that I can say about it. Like, it was okay.
Like I don't think it's gonna get a sequel.
Nah,
I do like the fact that they didn't go with an established assassin. They went with a different one that we didn't see in the games. I feel like had they done one of the established game characters, it would have been graded a lot harsher because people are familiar with those characters. Having it be an entirely new person, I think was a smart move on the studio's part. Sure.
possibly. I think that might have also worked somewhat against them because I feel like people were expecting to hear Ezio's story or Desmond's story.
Right.
Some of the most popular characters from the series.
Right.
Um, but they didn't get that. So,
True. True.
I think that might have turned off some people to the movie.
It's kind of a
Again, still
fifty-fifty split.
still Yeah, I mean, again, still had a pretty big box office showing. Now that's box office. I don't know if the film actually made money. Like, I don't know what their budget was
Right.
compared to their box office take home, but still. Anyway.
But
Oh,
so we'll go over the Warcraft movie. Um, not World of Warcraft, just Warcraft. That's one that I enjoyed it. A lot of people were very, I think of the best word to describe it, were very
critical.
disappointed. Yeah, critical of it, I think is a better word. Um, like I thought the CGI in that was amazing. Like the way that they blended practical effects with CG, I thought they did a phenomenal job on that. Story was I mean kind of predictable, but I mean if you know any
I
of the
mean, it's been based on a. It was based on a video game from back in the
exactly,
90s. Like
exactly,
the
um,
main lore of Warcraft hasn't changed since the 90s. So
pretty
it was.
much. So I mean like if
Yeah,
you
it was
know any of the
predictable.
lore, good,
It was predictable, but it was telling the story that was already it was retelling the story that was already told.
right? Which I mean was in some cases was a safe bet to do because like you if you've already have a story that people are familiar with, why not go with that? It would have been nice to see like maybe like one of those, well, history still kind of went the same way, but this event isn't exactly how we thought it was. But at the same time, if you do that, you're going to get people who are like, no, that's not what happened. But like no, all in all though, like I enjoyed it. That's one that again I don't think we're going to see a sequel for, but that's one that if a second one did come out, I would absolutely watch it. Um, just like
So
the spectacle of everything was just impressive to watch.
yeah, I think for me. So here's the thing: I've not seen the movie.
Okay.
My
See, I
ex-wife
don't
got
think
me.
you would like it actually.
My ex-wife got me the movie for $5 out of like the Walmart bargain bin. I'm pretty sure that it's still in the plastic wrap
Oh my
downstairs on my
gosh.
movie cabinet.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I own it. I haven't gotten around to watching it.
Right.
And I think part of that is it came out in a time in my life that was pretty busy. I didn't really have a lot of time to get to the movie theater, and then by the time I did have time, it was either out of the theaters or I had heard just a lot of negative reviews about it. So that really kind of turned me off to it
Yeah.
because Warcraft and World of Warcraft and the Warcraft universe is one of my favorite fantasy settings
Yeah.
of all time. It's very lore rich. It has very
Absolutely.
engaging and
Yes.
interesting characters. And if Blizzard ever wanted to get out of video games, they could go into making movies and just
Dude,
like
because
make
like
bank.
their CG department, like everything is going on with Blizzard aside right now. I want to preface it by saying that their CG department, like they know what they're doing when it comes to cinematics and just like their pre-rendered scenes for like the opening title of any of their World of Warcraft games or any of their Warcraft games or World of Warcraft games. Like every time I watch them, they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I could see them going and making like Pixar style film, like just full CG,
Yeah.
just churn out Warcraft movies, and people would
And
buy
I
them.
think that might have been I think that might have been another criticism from folks is, they were expecting that kind of Warcraft
Right,
level CGI cinematic type stuff, and that's not what they got.
right.
And the studio that was responsible for the CGI in Warcraft was Weta Studios, which is
Which
Peter Jackson's
they know what they're
uh
doing.
right, it's Peter Jackson's production and cinematic studio.
Right.
I think the major complaint was that a lot of the characters wound up looking like they were from Lord of the Rings. Like
They
the
they
orcs,
they they looked more realistic and less fantasy.
yeah, but
Yep.
they still had some of those features that it very much made them look like, orcs from the Lord of the Rings or the trolls or stuff like that from the Lord
Right.
of the Rings. And so they were just like there was some disappointment in that they were just they were all kind of the
It didn't
same.
have that Warcraft aesthetic to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. I could see that. I mean, but like, yeah, now that you say it's a Lord of the Rings kind of movie, now I can't not see that when I when I see Warcraft, at least the movie anyway. I mean, but it's they tried to do. like what they did with Sonic originally, is make it a realistic looking character set in a real world, and that's kind of what they were trying to do with the Warcraft movie. Make it look like it was a real world. So I mean, you couldn't have characters. I mean, you could have characters with the Warcraft game aesthetic, but when you're standing next to a real physical human, it's gonna look way off. I mean, granted, it's usually those are like the different races and whatnot, the like the the orcs, the trolls, whatever have you. So they're not going to look human, but they'd look out of place. I think anyway, at least for what the film was
Yeah,
trying
and
to go with.
I'm not
But
saying that that's not the right way to do it. It's just the design of the character
mm,
designs were just. I mean, you look at. I mean, you do a side by side of Duratan and you know
any given
one of the.
Urukai.
Yeah, right. Any given Uruk-hai, and you can very much see some of the similarities. And again, a
Yeah,
lot of the
I'll give you
Uruk-hai
that.
were practical effects, so
Yes. Yep.
I understand that there's some difference there. But if you look at them like compared to some of the texturing and things like on the cave trolls and stuff like that,
Yeah,
you really start to see some similarities there,
I could see that.
especially with like some of the facial structure. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I
we don't
give you
have
that.
to. Yeah, we don't have to continue to beat this horse or orc. Um, so we'll jump
Oh,
over
look, a
to
gift fork in
another.
the mouth.
Right. We'll jump over to another one of our less well received movies.
All
Um,
right.
so, do you know what happens when the music kicks in?
Apparently not.
The
Oh,
Doom
the Doom
music?
movie. Oh my god. Okay, okay. Like that movie, it was a stupid fun movie up until the first person scene near the end of it. That was so disorientingly shot. Like while that was like their big highlight of the movie was that scene. Most times I will skip over that because it's so poorly done. Like
I
like
I would suggest that you, practically, in actuality, that's like my favorite part of the movie because everything
yeah.
else is just kind of like a bit of a slog. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
they
it's
really
it's
kind of.
slow. It's slow up until that point.
Yeah, and they really kind of relied a lot on jump scares for the first part of the movie.
Right.
Which I mean, depending on which Doom game you're playing, obviously the first two Doom games didn't have that because you're
Right.
like walking around in a labyrinth shooting things.
Dun, dun, dun.
And what was it that they said about Doom 3 back in the day when that came out? It's a long walk down a dark hallway.
Yes. Yes.
That's literally what it was. It was a long walk down a dark hallway.
But it was
So it kind of they kinda had that, like, Doom 3 aesthetic to it,
yeah.
because they were in, like, a rundown facility and just kinda, like, sneaking around and
Right.
whatnot. So but it
It's
was pretty
certainly not the newer
disappointing.
Dooms. I can tell you the newer Doom games. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and, had some pretty big star power behind it. Carl Urban,
Oh God, I
uh
forgot he was in that.
yeah, he was the main character.
Yeah.
Dwayne
If that tells
Johnson,
you anything about that
Rose
movie.
right, Rosamund Pike, um they had a good cast of characters on there. It was another one of those movies that just kind of fell flat, and
Right.
you know, it was just like, and again, this first person scene was my favorite because it actually started to feel kind of like Doom.
Like Doom.
But
Yeah.
if, by the way, if you consider that to be disoriented, then I would have advise you avoid the movie Hardcore Henry.
Which I
Uh,
think you and I have talked about. I don't know if on the show or off the air. Um, like I have no trouble playing first person games in VR. I don't get motion sick. I don't get disoriented. But I think it's because like I'm in control of where the motion is going and where I'm looking. When it's first person and it's through somebody else's eyes and I'm watching it, I that does get me disoriented. I don't know if it's just because like my body is thinking you should be moving but you're not. Like I don't get dizzy. I just get disoriented. I don't know. But yeah, the Doom movie was just really slow up until that part. So I mean the pacing was just bad. Like it didn't up until that scene it didn't feel like a Doom movie. It could have been literally called anything else and it still would have been a bad movie. But at least you wouldn't
yeah,
have
they
had
could have
that
just called
Doom
it
name
like
tied to
Space
it.
Marine, Space Marines from Hell or something like that.
Right?
And I think a lot of
I
people
think
would
that
agree
is
with you
actually a
because
movie.
it only made about 56, just shy of 56 mil at the
Yeah.
box office. So pretty much a nail
Yeah.
in the coffin of that series, unless, of course, the new overlords in Microsoft decide they want
Well, that's true
to
because
bring
they do own
to
that now.
they do own that, and the last two Doom games have been extremely successful.
Yes, they have. Yep.
And even the Wolfenstein games have been extremely successful.
Yeah. Say Wolfenstein. I really enjoyed that newest one.
Yeah, so all right. Well, what you got for us on the other end of the spectrum here?
Honestly, I'm running out of good video game movies. There are infinitely more bad ones than there are good ones. So you know what? I'll just pick one of my favorite guilty pleasure video game movies. Street Fighter with Jean Claude Van Damme
I'm sorry,
and
but
Raul Julia.
Raul Julia did not deserve that
Dude,
as
he
his last
but
credit.
he killed that role though. Him as Bison was the absolute best point of that. My favorite line in that movie is I'm paraphrasing is to you it was the worst day in your life, but to me it was a Tuesday. I'm like, boom, right there. That sold it for me. Like the whole rest of the
Yeah,
movie is just a like it's a train wreck. I will fully admit that Street Fighter was a train wreck. But it was a train wreck that I couldn't stop watching, and I will still occasionally find myself watching it. Like if I see it's on TV or I see it streaming somewhere, it's like, oh, Street Fighter. I'll pop it on and just zone out to it. It's like it's got a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's a good 13% worth watching.
if it makes you feel any better, it still did infinitely better than Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun Li,
Dude,
which came out let's
yeah,
see,
like 2000.
2009.
Yeah, I'd say it was like late. Wasn't quite too. And I don't think. Yeah.
Well, Street Fighter back in 1994 when it came out made uh, just shy of $100 million.
Okay.
Street Fighter: Legend of Chun Li, when it came out
Waiting
back
for
in
this.
2009, made just shy of $13 million.
Like, I don't imagine it probably had a whole lot of budget, but I mean, like,
I don't
I
know.
just looked it up. That's got a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
like
it's bad.
I remember seeing that in a was it
Ooh,
Family
ooh,
Video?
yeah. That movie lost money. They had a budget of 18 million.
Oh, ouch, ouch. But I remember seeing that in a Family Video. Um, and like I'm like, oh, Street Fighter. Like at first, I just saw the name Street Fighter because like Legend of Chun Li. Like I'm looking at the art for it. Legend of Chun Li is a small subtext to it, but like the Street Fighter logo is big. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I didn't realize it was a Street Fighter movie. I thought it was just a movie, some generic movie called Street Fighter. Then I glanced at it. I'm like, Legend of Chun Li. What? And like I picked it up, looked at it, looked at the back, and went, huh, and then put it right back on the shelf. Didn't even give a thought to renting it. Like it just didn't look good from the box, and obviously it didn't look good at the box office either. But no, like I said, the original movie, it's a guilty pleasure one for me. I will watch it if I happen to see it on. It's not one that I seek out, but I will watch it if I see it on. I liked it. I mean, it's bad, but it's campy goodness.
Fair. I mean, I don't fault you for that. I definitely have some of those like guilty pleasure type
Oh,
movies.
for sure. I mean, everybody does. Like I said, with me, it's anything with Nick Cage in it.
And I don't fault you for that. I actually like Nick Cage, in spite of what people say. Yeah, the dude's batshit insane, but
Oh, absolutely.
he pretty much leans into that pretty
Yeah.
hardcore. He's very kind of self aware of these days. So
Oh, he
uh,
has to be. He has to be.
yeah. So if we want to talk about some bad movies or bad movies,
Uh-oh.
we can talk about the Resident Evil films. The Paul W.S. Anderson
Like
Resident Evil film starring his wife Mia Jovovich.
I remember watching the first one and I was so excited cuz like I remember playing the original Resident Evil the first time. Like that game it was a scary game and it did a really good job of like just being intense nonstop. And then the first movie came out and had nothing to do with any of the games. except for the Umbrella Corporation and zombies. Like it didn't have anything to do with anything. Like the later ones did try to incorporate more of like the game's lore and bring in more of the characters from the games. But like yeah, particularly that first one, just what the hell? I mean, that's really all I can say about it is what the hell.
Yeah, it was. It had again. You're right. It had absolutely nothing. When they introduced the character of Alice, I went, I don't
Ooh.
remember her.
Well, it's like that
And
scene in
then,
Guardians of the Galaxy. Ooh.
yeah, exactly. It's just like, who the hell are you?
Exactly.
And what the hell is going on? And then like none of the characters are there.
Anywhere. Yeah.
And then the guy gets lasered through a cheese grater.
Okay, that scene was pretty cool though. You gotta admit that was a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, no, that was an enjoyable scene. I will admit. But I mean, yeah, they tried to like introduce some of the mythos and things like that. And the second movie was definitely closer into some of the mythos, but wasn't. And they've kind of leaned into it a little bit here and there and everywhere. And you're right, they started introducing some characters like I think Wesker is a reoccurring villain in that. Um,
See, and admittedly,
they've
I
got
haven't seen many
they've
of the newer ones.
they've brought in Jill Valentine. They've brought in Barry. I don't know if they have Chris in it or not.
You know, I'm not entirely sure.
They also brought back Michelle Rodriguez's character, even though she died in the first one.
It's a video
She's a
game movie,
clone.
Ian.
No, no, they actually brought back that entire like the entirety of that team that died in the first one. They're clones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, Okay.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't.
it's on par with anything else that we see in that.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, and Paul W.S. Anderson must have a way of just like he must have dirt on some execs at Capcom or something because
Something.
they just keep giving him money, and then they gave him money to do the Monster Hunter movie,
Oh yeah, I
which
forgot he did that. Yeah.
he then immediately wrote and put his wife as the main star because
Right.
that's what he does.
I mean, and
Uh,
you and I talked about the Monster Hunter movie in a prior episode, so probably won't touch on that too long. But now that I realize that that's him, it definitely does feel like the Resident Evil movies.
yeah,
He has a style.
yeah, definitely. Um, yeah. Anyway, so what else you got on your list?
Oh, let's see. I've got well, actually a two-parter here, and something that I had looked up the Rotten Tomato score for these, and surprised me on this one. Both Final Fantasy movies. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which is a follow-up to the original Final Fantasy VII, and then Final Fantasy Spirits Within, which is a completely original story. And believe it or not, Spirits Within has a higher Rotten Tomato score than Advent Children does by 1 point. Spirits Within is at 44%, and Advent Children is at 43%. So I mean, like between the two, I can't think of the last time that I watched Spirits Within. It's been years at this point. Advent Children I watched like 2 months ago. My wife had never seen it, so I'm like, you know what? I own a copy. We're gonna watch it. You know, because she was replaying the Final Fantasy VII remake game,
Right.
and I'm like, well, hey, watch this. And some of the some of the translations of the script are questionable at best. Um, but I mean, like the CG. I remember when that came out. That came out when I was still in college, and at the time, the CG in that was just fantastic, like best I'd ever seen. Obviously, has not aged well at all. Um, but I mean, same thing with Spirits Within. I mean, the CG in that again has not aged well. Spirits
I mean,
Within,
it's
like
not terrible. The Spirits
it's oh
Within
no, it's not
it's not
bad.
terrible.
Yeah.
I think the major thing for me is that Spirits Within was actually filmed, created, animated
Yep.
to be in English.
Yes.
So the mouth flaps and the
The mouth
dialogue, it
flaps.
all adds it all. I mean, that's the industry term
Yeah.
for for animation, the mouth flaps.
Yep.
And when you dub that over, but Advent Children wasn't.
No, it
So
was
Advent
designed to
Children
be in
was
Japanese. Yep.
yes, and anime it works because you're doing like on a 2D surface
Yes,
type
it's
thing.
not
You don't
not
have
typically as detailed.
you don't have the lip movements, you don't have tongue movements and stuff like that. You just have the up and down of the mouth. Maybe a little bit of shape and articulation, but
You're watching the
uh
wrong kind of anime movies if there's no tongue action, Ian.
probably.
But well, no, no. I
Um
like it's for me. It's not even the mouth flaps that put me off of Advent Children. It's just like the CG in general has not aged well. I mean, it's still it's not terrible. I have definitely seen worse CG than that even recently. But like you can tell that it is dated technology. The motions, wow, the motions are not as fluid. They're not as the characters aren't as animated as they even in video games today. Like I'll even use the Final Fantasy VII remake as an example. Like the animation of that was infinitely better. But again, you're talking about when did that come out? A movie that came out in 2004 versus a game that came out in 2020. Obviously, 16 years, things have advanced quite a bit. But I mean, even that aside, um, for me it was mostly the translation. You and I know how it is in anime or Japanese films in general. There are some things that work in the Japanese language that can't really be translated, which is
yeah.
why like a lot of word puns or rhyming jokes, things like that, typically will get cut in American dubs just because there's really no good way to make that work without either cutting it or completely changing the line. And in Advent Children, they decided just let's just completely change the line. And my wife's gonna laugh when she listens to this episode. All I'm gonna say is dilly dally shilly shally. That's all I will say. And anybody that's seen Advent Children will know what I'm talking about. But no, like Spirits Within, that one again, that's another. It seems like this is a running trend for video game movies that they could have literally called it anything else, and I think it would have made the film better. Spirits Within being a Final Fantasy movie follows that same thing. They could have just called it Spirits Within, and it would have been a decent CG sci-fi film. But
So
yeah, I mean,
looking
it had a lot
through
of big
Wiki,
names in it though. Is the thing.
yeah, I mean, looking through Wikipedia right now, I think it actually did happen somewhat like that, where it was originally titled Gaia, and
Okay,
I think they just assumed they couldn't get people interested unless they slapped the Final Fantasy name on it.
that makes a lot of sense because I mean, like even thematically, there's some loose threads that kind of harken to Final Fantasy, but I mean it's a stretch though.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy's thing is mostly been always around crystals, and there's really nothing to do with crystals in.
Right? I mean,
They talk about spirits, and yeah, I guess maybe you could, like the
the life
primal,
stream,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah. But I mean,
maybe,
it's a
but
stretch. It's a stretch though to make that a Final Fantasy thing. And
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
obviously, I know
in
like
reality, it's a dystopian technopunk movie, is really
right,
what it is.
yeah. And I mean, like I know like every Final Fantasy, with the exception of any the few sequels that we've had or spin-offs, it's each one is its own separate standalone story, its own world, its own themes, but they all like when you play a Final Fantasy game, you can tell it's a Final Fantasy game. Spirits Within just didn't have that same feel to it at all. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
watched it and like, I mean, it was okay, but I mean, again, like, had it not been called Final Fantasy, I don't know that I would have ever watched it. So I mean, I guess smart move for slapping that name on it and getting more people to watch it. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if we wanna talk about bad movies, the bad video game movies, then of course we have to reference pretty much the entire filmography of He Who Shall Not Be Named.
I was gonna say we're
Um,
at 46. We still haven't
uh,
watched that movie yet.
So we have 4 more name drops before we have to.
Yep.
So I'm gonna call a mulligan and actually do a name drop here, even though we don't have the counter up.
No,
So
no, I do. I
we're
do.
gonna.
I
Oh,
put
we
it
have
up
the
because
counter
I
up.
knew
Okay.
he would get mentioned in this.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Uwe Boll.
47.
Um, 47. We will now refer to him again as he who shall not be named from now on. He has
That
an entire
guy.
filmography. He's built most of his career around video game adaptations that I don't know how he keeps getting licensing for. I
Dude,
mean,
who
how
knows? Who knows?
House of the Dead, Blood Rain. I mean, he took an interesting character in Blood Rain and just absolutely destroyed it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Alone in the Dark,
Yep.
which is one of the worst rated video game movies in the history of video game movies. Um, let's see. Let me look at his filmography here. Yeah, so I said House of the Dead. Um, oh yeah,
Oh
I
my
forgot
gosh,
he
Alone in
did.
the Dark has a 1%?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
horrible.
He did In the Name of the King. That Dungeon Siege movie, which actually had a lot of big name stars. It had Burt Reynolds, Jason
Yep.
Statham,
Like big
um,
names.
John Race Davies. All of these big. It was a turd.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wasn't even like a turd that you can flush. Like it was a turd that it was a turd. It was a dog turd that you step on when you're going through the backyard to take the trash out in the middle of the night, not wearing any shoes.
Oh, oh, it just keeps getting worse. Just keeps getting worse.
Yes, yes, and you slide on it too. Like it's not just like a smush. It's a you step and you slide.
Oh, do you fall down at the
Uh,
end right into it? Just
no,
slides
because I
right up your
didn't.
leg, up your back as you're on the grass.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he just is Postal. I
Oh
mean,
God,
Far
Postal. Yeah.
Cry. What else? What else we got here? He keeps making obviously Blood Rain movies, which is sad. He made a
Yeah.
sequel to In the Name of the King, apparently. That
Really?
starred Dolph Lundgren.
Okay. Like, I think Dolph pretty much if somebody cuts him a check, he'll do it though.
Probably. Oh shit, they made two sequels. There's an In the Name of the King 3, starring
Who asked for this?
Dominic Purcell. Why do I know that? Why do I know who that is?
Not a clue. Not ringing any bells.
Dominic Purcell. Let's see. He was in Mission Impossible as a character named Ulrich.
Okay. Well, you know what? He's a good actor. I don't care.
He was in Blade Trinity. Um, Equilibrium. Let's
Like these are
see.
all movies that I'm familiar with. So I mean, he must be like a character actor or something.
Maybe. Let's see. I can't see anything else though that's significant. Apparently was in 5 episodes of Beastmaster.
Oh
Okay.
God, Beastmaster.
Okay, now I know where I see him from.
Uh oh.
He was the main character from Prison Break, that TV show.
Oh,
The
the taller guy, or well,
Yeah,
the
the tall
beefier
bald.
guy.
Yeah, the
Um,
bald guy with kind of squinty
he
face.
was in
Yeah,
he was in Flash.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He was.
yeah,
It
as
said,
a
yeah.
Firestarter. What's his name?
It says he's reoccurring role for 5 episodes in the Flash. He was also in Heatwave.
Heatwave. Thank you.
Uh,
Like he was in like the early seasons. So like crap, what was his name? I know he palled around with
yeah,
Captain Cold a lot, who ironically was also in Prison Break.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, our friend has.
he's made some crap. And we mean
Yeah.
that literally. Crap.
Yes. Oh, just looking through his Rampage, Capital Punishment. I assume this one has nothing to do with the. Yeah, okay. This has nothing to do with the video game movie Rampage.
Okay, I was gonna say
Um,
like, because that from what I heard was like dumb fun movie.
yeah, I had heard
Anything
that it
he
was like
does.
it was. I had heard people say that it was at the time the best video game movie that had been made, and then Sonic the Hedgehog came out, and then they're like, okay,
Well,
winner,
Sonic came out. The next movie I'm gonna talk about came out.
yeah, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Anyway, so what you got next?
I have Detective Pikachu.
It's Pokemon Forever.
I refuse to put that one on my list. Because the Pokemon movies are all good. I don't care what anyone says. But no, Detective Pikachu, like that one, like I mean, one they picked a video game, Detective Pikachu, that wasn't really at the top of any Pokemon fans' list, and they made it a movie that people loved. Um, like it's got a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is actually higher than Sonic. Sonic's currently sitting at a 63. So only a few, a little bit more. But like when they started putting out like promo pictures of, because they're like it's gonna be live action, and everybody's like, oh, okay, well how are the CG Pokemon gonna look? And I think that the team of the Sonic movie really took a look at what they took. I honestly think they took a look at the Detective Pikachu and went, okay, what works and what doesn't work. Detective Pikachu did a great job of making Pokemon look like they belonged in a world with real actual humans. They like Pikachu is an example, like looks like an actual creature, but you can still easily tell that is Pikachu. The Bulbasaurs look like Bulbasaurs. The Charizards look like Charizards. The Snosberries taste like Snosberries. I mean, you get what I'm going with here. It all They were all easily identifiable, but they looked real. And I mean, I think
Right.
that for especially like people of our generation, we grew up when Pokemon was a brand new thing. Getting that nostalgia of seeing all these Pokemon realistic is kind of what did it for me. And I mean, the story was good too. Don't get me wrong. Um, and I mean, like Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu was a choice that when they announced that, a lot of people are like, "We're gonna have Deadpool as Pikachu," but he absolutely nailed that role. I mean, they did a fantastic job casting him. I mean, the writing for the movie was really good as well. I thoroughly enjoyed everything about it. Like
Well,
I went.
maybe that's maybe that's where they're taking inspiration from with the voice casting for the Super Mario Brothers movie, animated movie that's coming into
Maybe.
play.
Well, yeah, because I mean, we haven't even talked about that yet. Um, yeah, because that's true. Because that movie, like the new Mario animated movie, like a lot of interesting casting choices. Um, I can't not hear Seth Rogen when I see Donkey Kong now. So Nintendo must have done something right. But no, like
Oh, but
Detective.
there's memes flying all over the place that have his
God.
signature laugh dubbed over Donkey Kong.
Yes,
So
I saw them the day they made that announcement.
yeah.
But no, like yeah, I really liked it. I would love to see a sequel to it. I mean, it did well enough in the theaters and home release that it's a definite possibility. Um, but yeah, I mean that's one that it's amazing to see Nintendo specifically video game based movies go from the horribleness that is Mario Brothers to Detective Pikachu. I mean, it just goes to show that you got to make sure you have the right people in place to do these movies. Otherwise, you're gonna keep getting Mario Brothers. I mean,
I think they also realized that after the train wreck dumpster fire nuclear explosion that was the Super Mario Brothers movie was they needed to have a lot more oversight of these projects. So, for the
absolutely.
Super Mario Brothers movie, Shigeru Miyamoto is has been involved the entire time. I believe he's actually an executive producer on it.
I think so.
So,
Yeah.
like Mario has had the creator of Mario involved the entire time in this.
Good.
So,
Good. That's what they
and I
need.
believe that Nintendo was also pretty involved in Detective Pikachu as
Oh yeah,
well,
pretty
uh,
heavily.
as
Well, I
well
mean,
as the Pokemon Company.
yes.
So, they were. there was a lot more oversight. Whereas I think with the Mario Brothers movie, they just kind of licensed the name and said,
Here you go.
you know, have make us money.
Have fun, kids.
And y-
Yeah.
yeah, and that actually makes me wonder.
Uh-oh.
So okay, yeah, I assumed as much. So yeah, the budget for the Super Mario Brothers movie apparently was it's a little squiffy on the numbers, but it was anywhere from 42 to 48 million and
All
only
right.
made 38. It only made 38.9, so it
Eh,
did come back at a loss. Not significant as far as movies go, but
right. But
it
still,
it
still a
is a
loss.
loss.
Well, I mean, when you're talking making a movie, if it's a loss, that's significant.
Yeah, no, no. And generally these budgets also don't play into marketing. Like the marketing budget
Yeah.
is generally not included when it comes to these
That's
movies.
just the actual
So
production. Yep.
yes, that's just the
Yep.
actual production. So um let me take a look at some of these others. Yeah, Monster Hunter, budget of 60 million, made 44,
Eh.
so that was a loss. Um, what about the new Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I'm curious on that one.
Made money.
Okay.
Budget of 55 million, made 83.6. So
Really? That only had, you said 55 million was the budget?
mhm.
I'm kind of surprised on that. I mean, I figured the budget for that one would have been a little bit higher, just from a lot of like the special effects and like the set pieces and everything.
They might have been taking a bit of a. I think they might have been just taking a bit of a gamble with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, might have been part of the problem.
All right.
Um, is just that they were trying to resurrect a property, and the last time well, that property saw a movie was, besides animated movies, was a long time ago. So they were really going after a fan base there.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, Detective Pikachu, but looking on the horizon of things to come
Uh oh.
in the video game movie industry, right around the corner from us. A new Resident Evil movie, this time not helmed by Paul W.S. Anderson, as far as I'm
Surprisingly.
aware. As far as I'm aware,
Yeah. Well,
no,
welcome,
it's
welcome to Raccoon City.
yeah, it's directed, both written and directed by Johannes Roberts, who I've never heard of.
Doesn't ring a
Um,
bell.
yeah, but the cast is pretty vague for me, except for Neil McDonough's in it.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Yeah, I really don't know any of the cast. So it'll be interesting. But I mean, this one actually takes place in, like Raccoon City, obviously,
Right.
and stars most of the
Welcome to
most,
Raccoon
if not
City,
all.
taking place in Las Vegas.
Right, stars most, if not all, of the actual like video game characters. So let's see. I
Right.
see Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, Albert Wesker, Leon Kennedy, William Birkin, Ada Wong.
It's like a lot of the
Um,
well-known characters.
right. I don't see Barry in here though, which makes me sad because Barry was one of the original characters, and
Right.
he's not listed here. Maybe they'll surprise us, and he'll actually be in the um in the movie somewhere. But anyway,
I mean, if we're gonna talk upcoming ones, I mean, this one's still a few months out, but Sony's throwing their hat into the ring with the Uncharted movie, which I know a lot of people, their biggest complaint so far is Sully doesn't have a mustache. I don't know if Mark Wahlberg just refused to grow a mustache for it, but like Sully without a mustache, just it doesn't look right to me. It doesn't look right to anybody. But I mean, we've got
right,
we've got like I said, Mark Wahlberg. We have Tom Holland, Spider-Man, as a younger Nathan Drake, which I think it was a missed opportunity not making it be Nathan Drake today and casting Nathan Fillion. But I'm not going to pass judgment until I see it. I mean, Tom Holland. Now, obviously, most people know him best as Spider-Man.
right.
I mean, he's a
Well,
he's a good actor.
several years ago, there was a fan made film that actually did have it was like a 13-minute film, and it did star Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake.
Really?
Did you not see this on YouTube?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's like a 13-minute fan made film, and
Huh.
he was absolutely perfect for it. And it was
Oh,
years
absolutely.
ago.
I mean, he
It was
looks
years
like
ago.
Nathan Drake.
The think the major issue, and I believe that Nathan Fillion has even said it himself, is that he's just too old for that character now.
Right.
Like he wouldn't feel comfortable playing that character because Nathan Drake's in his 20s, maybe 30s.
I think so. 30s. I think. At least during
So
like the part of the games anyway.
yeah, so he doesn't feel like he wouldn't mind doing it, but he's just not comfortable necessarily playing a character of that age anymore, especially one that has to be as active as Nathan
That's
Drake
true.
is,
Yeah.
because essentially in all perpetuity he would probably just be doing the standing,
Right.
just talk standing around talking scenes, and then they'd have to have a stunt double for most of the
I pro-
movie.
Well, and I mean, kudos to Tom Holland though. Like the dude, like he's athletic and agile. I mean, that's one of the things that kind of got him on their radar to be cast as Spider-Man. Is the dude can do his own standing flips without the need of any gear or whatnot.
Right.
I think, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Tom Holland have like some gymnastics and dancing background?
You know what? I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure.
I might be thinking of something else, but I vaguely remember hearing something about that. But it was anyway. It's his agility and whatnot is kind of one of the things that got him noticed for Marvel to cast him as Spider-Man. But I mean, also upcoming. Moving on. I mean, I had already mentioned this. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, like you said, is scheduled for April. We'll see how that goes. One that I'm interested for. It's coming out sometime next year, and I want to see more on it just because the casting that they've announced so far has me intrigued. Borderlands. I mean, Kevin Hart is Roland and Jack Black is Claptrap. That's I don't care who else they cast. That has me interested right there. I want to see robot Jack Black.
Well, I mean, Kate Blanchett is going to be Lilith. Jamie Lee Curtis is Dr. Patricia
Oh, yeah, I
Tannis.
forgot about her. Yeah.
Let's see. Who else? Who else? Gina Gershon is Mad Moxie? Really?
Where do I know her from?
Let me pull up her filmography. Let's see. I know I've seen her before, and I know the name before. I'm trying to think of what. Let's see. She was in P.S. I Love You. Um, eh. Yeah,
Like she has one of those faces. I'm like, oh, her, but like I don't know where I know her from.
yeah, that one's is Melrose Place, The Untouchables, Ellen. Um, Apparently she was in a TV show called Pokemon Camp. Interesting.
Okay.
Uh,
Like I'm looking at her filmography here, and it's like I don't recognize any of these movies.
Tim, she was in Trip in the Rift. Uh,
Was she?
she plays Six.
Okay, she's Moxie. I'm okay
Yeah.
with this. Um,
Yep.
yeah, like looking at her filmography here, like as far as movies, I'm not seeing anything on here. Just kind of taking a quick glance that is jumping out at me. But then I look at her television stuff, and like yeah, like you said, she's on Melrose Place, Pokemon Camp, Saturday Night Live, apparently. Um,
Rescue Me, Elementary, Anger Management, Red
oh,
Oaks.
she
No,
was Catwoman in the show The Batman.
yep. Um, yeah, I mean she's got a. Oh, apparently she played Melania Trump in The Good Fight.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Anyway,
Like
no idea what that is.
I
Anyway,
okay, looking at some pictures of her, I could actually see that.
yeah, no.
Huh. But okay, so yeah, she's gonna be Moxie. Interesting.
Even Boyer is Scooter. Oh God, that dude totally looks like Scooter.
No, no, I'm looking
Stephen
through.
Boyer. Check
Oh my
it.
God, he does look like Scooter. Oh my God.
He's Scooter. Wow. All right. No idea where I've.
Like I'm looking through the cast now.
Yeah. Um.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. The more I look at this cast, the more I'm interested in this movie. I mean, Borderlands. It's a good game. A good series of games, I should say. Um, it's gonna be interesting to see how they translate that to live action, though. I mean,
Yeah.
well, especially Kevin Hart as Roland. Like that one cracks me up because like Roland is this, I mean, not huge, but he's this, big muscular soldier, and Kevin Hart is
Kevin
none of
Hart.
those things. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
No.
he's he's a
Uh.
little guy. I mean, he's good at
Yeah.
good comedic actor. Um, how tall is
Us.
he? He's 5'2". Like
Yeah.
he's a little guy.
Yeah, he's got it. He's and if I remember correctly, Kate Blanchett's actually pretty tall too. So
Yeah.
they're gonna have to like put him on like stilts or a box whenever
Unless
they're
they're
next
going
to
to
each
just
other.
have that be the thing, is that Roland's a little guy.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, if I look through this list on Wikipedia of upcoming movies, obviously we talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie a little bit
Yep.
earlier with some of the strange castings, which,
Yep.
about a few days ago, actually, I think you pop onto Twitter and all you see is just like people the Chris Pratt cast as such and such
Yep.
memes were everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, let's see,
Well, because
there is a
he's gonna be.
Detective Pikachu sequel.
Oh, good, 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 good.
It's untitled,
All right.
and there's no information about it. There is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie because I know how much you love that one.
Oh yeah,
It
absolutely.
looks like they're going to try to do a Gears of War film. Um,
One that's been announced that, like, as far as, hey, it's a thing, but that's it. They're making a movie of the Yakuza series.
mm,
I mean, like, they
yeah,
haven't announced
it's on the
anything
list.
beyond it's a thing, but like, I absolutely love the Yakuza games. If they can translate that, like, just over the top, just goof action into film, I will be all about that. I mean, but again, I mean, like, we've seen, for lack of a better description, we've seen like goofy, like kung fu style movies that have worked and have worked really well. I don't think Yakuza is going to go for the goof factor. I mean, there is. I mean, obviously there are some incredibly funny parts in those games, but I mean, ultimately it's a drama about the criminal underworld in Japan. It'd be interesting to see if they do make that into a film, how well that movie would do in Japan, if they would even show it.
Yeah, it just kind of depends, and maybe they'll go the route of like the Shang-Chi. They do the Shang-Chi
Oh,
and not whitewash it,
well,
and
I
actually
I, I
have
hope,
Asian
yeah,
actors.
I hope that they don't whitewash it, because I mean that'd be one that would be doing that series in general a huge disservice to whitewash, because I mean that series is centered around Japanese culture. So like
Yeah,
if they whitewash that, that's people will riot. I mean, well, the Yakuza will probably be upset.
true, true enough. All right. Well, I think we've probably exhausted the list. Well, we haven't exhausted the list per se.
There are tons of bad video game movies we didn't even talk
There's
about.
tons of bad video game movies, and there's actually quite a lot of stuff coming out on the horizon, including a Untitled Metal Gear Solid,
I was to say, like, yeah,
Untitled Saints
yeah.
Row.
I'm looking at a list. I mean, let's see. There's apparently
There's
in
a mi-
development the
there's a Minecraft movie.
Half-Life Portal, Gears of War, Heavy Rain, Devil May Cry, Kane and Lynch, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Space Invaders, Just Dance, Deus Ex, Temple. They're doing a movie of. How do you make Temple Run into a movie?
They made Dora the Explorer into a movie. They
Okay,
made Legends of the Hidden Temple into a movie.
okay, fair point. Um, like they've got some substance to it though, kind of, I guess. But like Temple Run. Anyway, so video game movies, like as long as there's going to be video games, I don't think that the movies are going to go anywhere. Both the good and the bad. Um, Sonic
As
and
long as he who shall not be named keeps managing to get a hold of these
exactly,
licenses for cheap, then
exactly,
we will still have cannon fodder for years.
yeah. I mean, but Detective Pikachu and Sonic have kind of set the bar as far as what we can expect out of a good video game movie. So I mean, there's going to be, especially looking at some of the lists we're pulling up, there's going to be tons of contenders over the next couple of years. It'd be interesting to see if how they change after these films have came out and have been fairly successful. It's gonna be interesting.
Yep, I completely agree. So, uh, it'll be interesting to see what happens
Oh,
in the
for
coming
sure, for sure.
months, in the coming years. I'm certainly interested to see some of these films,
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to how things are going to progress.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I think with that we are out of time for the today, so we will
We'll
go
we'll
ahead
stop
and
progressing for tonight.
yes, we will stop progressing for tonight, and we will bid you all adieu. And again, thank you for joining us. As always, we appreciate you being here. We love doing this, and we love just sharing our dumbassery with you.
Yep.
And also a big thank you to our host site, Anchor.fm, who also feeds out to Spotify, YouTube. And I'm sorry, not YouTube.
We're a little
Spotify,
rusty.
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can find the live videos on YouTube. I think we're still working on how we can get the live videos up on Spotify.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you might be able to find them there here soon enough. Um, and then you can find us on social media at facebook.com/non sequitur nerds, Twitter at non sequitur nerd, twitch.tv /non sequitur nerds. Um, and if you're lucky enough, you might be able to catch the live taping of these when we actually sit down and do them.
Yep. Once we
But
get back onto our normal recording nights and everything again, we will start those back up.
yeah, and that one's going to be a little hard for a little while,
Yeah.
folks. So we hope that you bear with us. It is the holiday season. We're both parents. We both got a
Yep.
lot of crap going on.
Yeah, we do.
So filming schedule may be a little goofy, but we're going to try our best. Damn it! So
Yep.
stick with us.
Please do.
Uh, yeah. But I think that takes care of all the shout
I
outs
think so.
and thank yous. But yeah, so with that, we will go ahead and sign off for the night. So, as always, for non sequitur nerds, I am Ian, and
I'm Tim. Good night, everybody.